Good afternoon, everyone. What should be a headline story, not really making the media. China laying down 7,500-mile undersea communications cables going around the West. Kenya bans corn imports, aflatoxin. Ivory Coast setting its own agricultural commodities exchange. Benchmark for the rest of the world. That's a huge reverse. Longest surge in food prices since '08 supercycle and then stock market crash. Corn leading the gains on all the commodities. And for those of you in the U.S., food at home prices up and up and up for everything. And it does seem the pendulum's switching over to Africa as it becomes wetter and a new grow area for our planet, as the grand solar minimum starts to take more production offline in the northern latitudes. New studies show that by the time people reach their middle ages, the body often produces less than half of the collagen it did in their youth. Collagen is the main building block in our skin, making up 70 to 80% of it. This is why we get sagging skin and wrinkles as we age. If you want to look younger, you must supplement collagen, which will improve your skin's elasticity, make it smoother, more plump, and more youthful looking. That's why Ageless Multi-Collagen provides 5 key types of collagen you need from 4 different sources, essential to optimally support an array of full-body benefits. No odor, no taste, no clumping, unlike other collagen supplements. And this is why I recommend Health with Adapt 2030. Ageless Multi-Collagen, and look at that, I need another bag already. Quick way for youthful appearance. Use the link in the description box below for 51% off my favorite Ageless Multi-Collagen. And now on with the video. And with this grand solar minimum intensifying, there's going to be less production in the northern latitudes, Canada, northern United States, northern China. That's going to shift, and it seems to be West Africa, Central Africa, and the Sahel is becoming wetter. This is an area that's going to increase agricultural production and become one of the new growing areas to provide food for our planet. It's a 400-year cycle. We're in it again. And not only the investment from China in Africa over the last 20 years, but now they're going to lay down a 7,500-mile peace pipe. It's a communications channel connecting their Belt and Road countries, going around anything set through the West. So they have their own secure communications. Obviously, that'll get knocked into eventually. And this will be to bypass all Western influence with direct connectivity to China. And you notice the loading ports as well in their Belt and Road initiative are going to be the exit points for the new agricultural production coming out of Africa. So let's jump to the opposite side of the continent here. Ivory Coast. Great look here on the map. Liberia, Ghana, Togo, Benin. Smaller countries in Africa. So when you see headlines like this, you really need to stop and pause for a second. Ivory Coast is going to launch its own agricultural commodities exchange. Okay, that's big news. But when you see they're going to provide a benchmark index for the rest of the planet on international commercial contracts, head spinner right here. Usually you'd be looking at massive grain producers and massive food producers that are setting the benchmark on an international exchange. Yet Ivory Coast is going to run with it. They're starting off with raw cashews, kola nuts, and corn, of all things, coming out of Africa. This is another signal that there's going to be massive, massive increases in agricultural production, and they're already setting it up. You know what's going to come next? An inter-Africa cryptocurrency stablecoin so everybody can trade. I've done a little research on that, and it looks like USD Circle intertwined with Algorand, at least at the moment, the beginnings of it. Just like the climate's becoming much wetter, it is a shift. West African monsoon shifting on its 400-year cycle. And with all this tumultuous pricing and inavailability of foods across Africa, Kenya, shocker, banning all corn imports. Maize, another word for corn for those of you in the U.S. Specific bans from Uganda and Tanzania. They say it's not fit for human consumption, aflatoxin. So something terribly wrong has occurred there for them to cut off food imports. Because if we widen the view out a little bit across the globe, food prices rising for the 9th straight month. And that'll be focused on vegetable oils, sugar and meats. That came from the FAO, and they've been putting out a lot of information nonstop about food price increases. And right off of Bloomberg, on the heels of that, longest surge in food prices since 2008. But here's the thing, it's hitting the poorest nations first and the most, because they spend a larger percentage of their monthly income on food. And 2008 is a significant year. Remember the last commodities supercycle, the global financial crisis in 2009? And then Bloomberg had another whole section here about food inflation, food shortages. So they're also pinging on the food prices are rising faster than inflation. But remember, with any fiat currency, the inflation built into that is theft of 1.5% to 2% per year of erosion of the value of what you're working for. Banks and governments like to call it inflation. I call it theft. So food prices are soaring faster than theft from all governments using fiat currency and your income depreciation. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's call it what it is. And taking a look at what is rising in price faster than almost everything else, corn. Anywhere in green is a food price increase that's hitting your pocketbook and your supermarket. Now, coffee decreasing in price a little bit. There's a glut because the food and bev industry has stopped buying at the volumes they used to. Hotels, cruise ships, universities, convention centers. That was a huge coffee buying segment. And staying on some visuals for price rises. These are the food at home price increases for predominantly the world, but this is focused more in North America. But you could copy paste this pretty much anywhere on the planet. Beef up in price the most, and then we go down at pork, poultry, dairy, eggs, other meats. See, that was the thing right now. Meat prices are increasing more than everything. The only thing that's decreased in price are the fresh fruits, because again, it loops us right back into the institutional buying for convention centers, hotels, cruise ships, etc. has stopped, but the fruit producers still have the same production amount because those trees in the orchards have already been put out for how many years, decades, whatever, but an enormous amount of fruit still continues to come, but the buyers just aren't there at the volume it used to be on the institution level, so that's a decrease. So moving forward into 2022, you're going to look at this as a continuation, but it's going to really accelerate in the price increases. So get ready for massive meat, poultry, dairy increases. And off ABC News here, they're blaming all the food price rises on the bug. If you're going to great reset, where would you start first? If you can control the food, you can control the populace. I would think, I don't know about you, remember Kissinger talked about that. And now the Great Reset's here. Little too much in tandem going on for me to believe it's a coincidence, but you know, you can make up your own mind on that. But what I see is, please get ready. You're going to need some food storage, however you want to get it ready. My Patriot Supply also has the materials Mylar bags so you can pack yourself, or you can get the 2-week or the 4-week emergency food supply already packed for you, good for 25 years. Give yourself the peace of mind knowing that you have storable foods around your house so you don't have to run out to the markets if something were to happen. That link's in the description box below, as well as all the graphs, slides, and stories to tonight's video in the description box below. And please remember, every purchase you make up at My Patriot Supply supports the research that you are seeing right here on the Adapt 2030 channel. I appreciate your time. David DuByne, signing off.